I suppose that's appropriate music. Baby, yes. Oh man. It's like this music here is almost like Rage Against
Ooh.
Machine decided to do the NWO music. I don't know. I dig it. The entrance live is pretty cool for this one because everybody does the baby and then everybody goes boom right at the right time. So of course,
I want to see Hulk Hogan and Kyle O'Reilly do a
little guitar, little title
off.
guitar. Oh man!
And then get Bugenhagen on there.
That's right. That's right. Bugenhagen, who we haven't seen. We haven't seen Bugenhagen in months. Is the boom coming up? What are we? There it is. So, of course, this is the War Report brought to you by TagMeADate.com, the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. With our roster of over 75,000 superstars and divas, you too can find your tag team match on TagMeADate.com. Even though it's the day before, this is our Halloween edition, hence dressed like the villain Marty Skrull. And yeah, this is the War Report for this week. We got to jump into it because, oh boy, it always happens right around the time of the podcast where the wrestling world just kind of blows up. Nick Aldis is getting into something with Cara Noir from British Wrestling. Jordan Miles just exists and has a situation come up. Oh my God. And Smackdown does such a bad rating that AEW from Wednesday night beat the Smackdown rating.
Wow.
Which, okay, the difference is Raw was down. This was according to what I just read, it was the third lowest non-holiday edition of Raw in the history of the show. So discounting like Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that, it's the third. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is crazy. So let's jump into SmackDown. Now, SmackDown, just for those of you playing along at home, yes, SmackDown was moved from Fox Network to FS1 to accommodate the World Series. Fucked everybody up. And this is how, yeah, this is, again, it's not indicative of any sort of trend, but the show did 888,000 viewers, which is a lot lower than they usually get on Fox. Like Fox, Live PD is a good show, man. Amanda, do you guys get Live PD in Canada?
No, I don't know what that is.
All right, there's Live PD, and then there's a spinoff called Live Rescue, and it's like Cops, except that it's live. Like they literally have a cameraman following different precincts around as they have their patrol, and like crazy shit happens. You know, it'll be the same stuff about like, you know, shirtless crackheads and everything else, and traffic stops where the guy has nothing, and then all of a sudden has, you know, 8 pounds of weed in the trunk of his car. Yeah, it happens. Like I don't know how it happens live all the time, but this shit is it's as a shoot, it's live. So and then Live Rescue is the same kind of deal. It's an exciting show, but but SmackDown.
Hawaii 5-0 beat SmackDown.
Yeah, well, again, that's a network show, and see, that's the thing. We're comparing it to all this network stuff, and then the cable stuff is for this week. You have to compare it to the cable, but the cable still all beat it. It's such a weird thing. You'd think, how do you have like 2.5 million something odd people, potentially 4 million, because that's what the ratings did for the first week. So there's a pool of like 4 million people that should be watching SmackDown, and you only got a quarter of them because it went to Fox Sports 1. It doesn't make any sense. I want next week live, or this week rather, when it's back on Fox, I want to see what happens. It's going to go back up, but it's got to bounce back to that like 2 million viewer plateau. You know, it's got to, at least I assume it is. Is Flair, there's no delicate way to say this. Is Flair drinking again? Yeah, that's true, especially now at 70 something.
At least we don't have JR to blame it on anymore.
Yeah, what the fuck was up with that? They fired JR for that shit one time.
That video game panel.
Yeah. Oh, he was lit up on that panel. Oh my god. So we got promos. We got Hogan and Flair, the two teams. I think they're all. I mean, they're together now.
Could not care less about this fucking pay-per-view.
It's a house show. It's a house show that they're showing on the network
in Saudi Arabia.
And it just happens to be in Saudi Arabia because they paid a lot of money. I've heard. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what the backstory is, but it was in a hotel lobby. It must have been a convention because Jimmy Hart was in the background and fucking Daivari, of all people, was there in the middle of the lobby. I'm not like, how weird is it that Daivari is just standing there next to Hulk Hogan? Like, these are two guys that interacted one time when he saved Eugene back in like 09 or 08 or something. Anyway, the guy started getting tried to get big on Hulk Hogan. And Hogan goes into Hogan mode. You know how Flair goes into Flair mode? Hogan went into Hogan mode. And he's like, brother, you want to step outside? And the guy's like talking shit to him in the background. There's a Barstool Sports tweeted the video as well, and put it on their Facebook and all that. And he's trying to tell the guy to take it outside. He said, I think the guy said something about go drink another Shirley Temple. And then Hogan says, let me tell you something, brother. The last time I drank a Shirley Temple was when I was with your wife, if you know what I mean.
and then the security guard tried to get involved, and then the security guard saw how big Hogan was and backed off.
Yeah, and Hogan's on a crutch. I don't know what was up with him, but he had one crutch, and he was going to shove that crutch so far up that guy's ass.
I mean, Hogan's still a gigantic man, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. He might be an older guy and gone through some surgeries now. He's a big guy. He works out a lot. Yeah, he could knock me in front. Yeah, it would have to. I mean, the guy was not big. It would be a bad look for Hogan to get knocked out by a small guy. But I think he intimidated him enough where the guy backed down. But then on Twitter he said, from now on, that guy's name is Shirley Temple. So whenever we discuss it, we got to call the guy Shirley Temple because Hogan said so. But yes, go on Twitter. Barstool Sports tweeted. I'm sure other people did, but I saw Barstool first, so I'm gonna give them the credit. Go Prez, go. Yeah.
Is it similar to like the person that tried to get Sasha's autograph in the airport at like 3 a.m. or something, or the guy that tried to take Orton's picture at the gym?
Yeah, I feel like it was something like that, but this fan was like just being belligerent. Like it was in the lobby or a bar of a hotel.
He was being a dick.
And he was just being a dick. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that do that. They step to a wrestler because
famous people don't owe anybody shit.
No, they don't. And you don't try and pick a fight with them.
Certainly not.
No.
I don't care if he is as old as my dad.
Yeah, and especially you don't want to pick a fight. It's such a rude thing to do. Anybody could go up and fight a senior citizen. It's not a challenge. Don't do it. What did we think? What do we think of Smackdown? Even did any Steve? I know you said your DVR missed it, but were you able to catch a replay or anything?
Me neither.
Yeah, minus Xavier.
What?
I've heard it could be 9 months all the way up to a year. And then, of course, Booker T did an interview where he said that he might not be able to come back at all because the hamstring is a very important leg muscle. Of course, I mean, they all are, but it's such a big muscle that it's a hard rehab. The good thing is he's not a pro football player. He's not a pro basketball player. The hits and all this stuff that he's doing are predetermined in a sense where he can kind of mitigate that and control it. So like if you're running a play in football and somebody's coming at you and you have to cut a certain way or move a certain way, you can pop that back out. But I feel like you have a little more control over what your body goes through when you're wrestling. So hopefully,
and if he can come back, he can always change his style. Look at Steve Austin.
He doesn't honestly.
He
he's a good
two different ways, and attitude era.
Right, and he came back and became a big star, working a different style. The other thing is,
Sadly, Daniel Bryan did not change.
No, Daniel Bryan still wants to ram his head into everything and land neck first, and like I cringe every time he wrestles. It's like, oh God, this is the big one. He's gonna, we're gonna have to cart his ass off too. But Xavier could be a manager if he came back and couldn't wrestle. He could still be part of the New Day and do a bunch of stuff and just not wrestle matches.
But they, I can't believe Ciampa's back, and Ciampa had like a pretty gruesome injury that they thought was going to be a while too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Shawn Michaels took about 4.5 years and then came back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, it's true.
If Tyson Kidd were not a wrestler, he would have been like, his injury would have been left him,
paralyzed for sure, because he didn't. If a regular person had that style of injury, they would have been very, very hurt. He had He had enough muscle surrounding the injured vertebrae that it was able to support the rest of them. We have a friend, same thing, Big Jim Anderson. He was in a car accident that crushed 2 of his vertebrae in his neck. And because he had such a strong neck muscle, he's a pro wrestler. He had such strong neck muscles that it held everything in place. And then when he went to the doctor, they're like, you should be fucking paralyzed right now. But if you really train that area and you're doing the anything in the shoulder neck area for those exercises, it helps. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a cure-all, but it definitely helps in that situation to have more muscle mass. Yeah.
And that's somebody like the Warlord who had like no neck.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing, and it supports. Those muscles do support your head, and if you've got enough there, it can help mitigate injury. But medical technology too, like these stem cell treatments. Kevin Nash has been getting them. Hogan's been getting them. A lot of old timers have been getting them and reporting that, not that they're going to, but they feel like, hey, I can work now. Like they're not in as much pain. It seems that these targeted stem cell treatments are actually starting to really, the technology's there, it's advancing, it's helping people. So selfishly, I want Paige to be able to return in some fashion, because
definitely got to talk about Paige though.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
We'll talk about Paige. But we've got Dolph and Team Rudolph beat the New Day, but then it was announced that the New Day is going to get a title shot this Friday for the tag team titles.
Even though the Revival?
Yeah, I think it's the Revival. I believe it's the Revival. Nikki Cross had to keep her momentum going. She pins Mandy Rose.
Right, yeah, she won the #1 contender.
Which is great. I'm glad they're mixing it up. They're not doing this. We'll get to Raw, but they're not doing the same on Raw. They're not trying to build any new stars. Well, except for Humberto. That's the only guy they're building up right now, is like Humberto and the Street Profits. But there's no new women being cycled in. Nobody's SmackDown at least is mixing like Nikki. Even though they could have really gone with Alexa and made it really obvious, they went with Nikki, which I like. She pins Mandy Rose though, who Mandy is supposed to, Mandy and Liv are the two you think when you think of like women's wrestlers that McMahon likes, or like the type. So you're waiting for one of those two to break out, but I think they just need to hit a certain skill level. And we got to. We got to talk about this too. Roman Reigns, Ali, and Shorty G defeated Shinsuke, King Corbin, and Cesaro. And you all know what I say when I say we need to talk about this. They have Shorty G, Chad Gable, legitimate All-American collegiate wrestler, legitimate Olympian, dressed like he's part of the fucking Toon Squad.
Yeah, what was
from
that?
Space Jam. Looking like he's trying to slam dunk and have his arms stretch out while I Believe I Can Fly plays.
It looks so ridiculous.
He's not a basketball player. It doesn't make any sense.
Is that the irony? Is that why they're doing like?
Yeah, I guess it must be like, oh, he's like Muggsy Bogues. He's short, and it's like Muggsy Bogues is a basketball player. You fucks. Oh, I've got a Facebook friend. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's an indie wrestler, and they're like, "Oh, look at all the fake outrage over this Shorty Gable thing." And it's like, no, don't you see? This is a pattern going all the way back to putting Dusty Rhodes in polka dots, of taking somebody who has talent, who could be a legitimate draw, and boiling their essence down to the most generic bullshit possible because it's palatable for a wide television audience.
Red Rooster.
Red Rooster, there we go.
Who Bruce Pritchard to this day will always defend.
Which is the shits. Oh, God. So it's just another in a string of lame gimmicks on guys that can actually work. There's no fake outrage. It's not like I'm going to go protest. I'm not getting my goddamn tiki torches out. I just don't like it.
What does Jericho say? Stupid,
It was stupid
idea by bad creative or something?
It's dead and buried. Yeah.
Which I'm sorry, I disagree on the whole We the People thing, because We the People was fucking over.
We the People got over, and it was over during his fight.
And now he could do Knee the People.
Knee the pee hole. That's what I've seen online. It's knee the pee hole.
Dude, I know this is off topic, but that guy against Swagger in that MMA, come on.
We've got to figure out how we can play. I know there's a way. Ryan will figure it out for us to play videos while we comment over it. This
Clearly,
guy,
that guy was cowering.
First of all, it's the hardest I've ever seen anybody get hit in the nuts, for sure. But it doesn't kill you. Unless it ruptures your testicle, you can get back up.
The first shot looked like it was in the stomach anyway.
It was, one of them wasn't even close. And the last one, he really oversold it. We're talking about Jake Hager, formerly Jack Swagger's opponent. I don't know his name. I don't care to know his name. Jack Swagger, need him in the pee-pee pretty hard. And the guy can refuse to continue to fight, saying he was unable to. It was ruled a no contest. Thank God, instead of a reverse decision.
That would have been worse.
Because they could have given Swagger the loss.
That's true. So thankfully that didn't happen.
They determined that they weren't intentional knees. I don't know. But it was just that hopefully this continues. Like, Chris Jericho is going to say some shit about it on AEW on Wednesday. It's going to be Jack Hager is going to come in the ring and knee Cody in the ball. He's going to knee somebody in the balls.
I mean, because clearly the guy knew he was out of his league and didn't want to.
Right. Ryan's listening. He just sent a message. So just not to bounce around, but I want to go back to SmackDown for a bit. Amanda, I want your opinion on the Shorty G situation as a female wrestling fan. Is this appealing to you? Is it attractive to you? No. Is Shorty G suddenly sexier than Chad Gable? Like, I'm trying to figure out, who does this appeal to?
Absolutely no one. He looks like a fucking douchebag.
It really does.
Like, he didn't get the memo that it wasn't Halloween till next week, maybe.
Like, when are they going to give him like a backwards hat at this point?
Oh, God.
Oh my God! If they just dress him, you remember those T-shirts where the Looney Tunes would they would put cornrows in Bugs Bunny's hair, and they go like this, like. That's what I'm picturing Chad Gable looking like.
Didn't they do that with Jesse and Festus after they broke up and then Jesse became like some kind of rapper?
Yes. Yeah. Biscuits and Gravy didn't help him out, unfortunately.
Didn't make him a man.
Yeah, because that was God, who is that? Is that Vader's son? No,
it was
Terry Gordy's son.
Terry
Bam Gordy's son. And that's another thing that I don't get. You got another second generation guy and you send him out there as Jesse and Festus, and then he's just another random white rapper guy in the vein of John Cena, the white rapper guy, in the vein of every time they want to do this, they just make the white guy, oh, look at how funny he raps. Oh, okay.
Except it worked with John Cena.
Well, he could actually, okay, for a white guy, he can rap.
Yeah. Right.
I love hearing that. You can just keep saying that.
Thank God. Thank God.
They killed Kenny.
Kenny, yeah. Mm. Wish I knew.
Oh no.
Vince McMahon is mad that somebody came up with a better idea than him, so he's going to do everything in his power to make that idea worse. Like, that's the only thing I can think of is Bray Wyatt came up with $1 million gimmick, but I didn't come up with it, so fuck that guy. I really don't know what.
Rollins is gonna be cool, goddammit.
Yeah, okay, that's another thing. Okay, at this point, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch both need to hire somebody to run their Twitters for them. Just fucking give up. The best part was this all started over JR getting a zinger in there, and he goes, maybe he could, talking about Seth Rollins, like, maybe he can talk like that if he was more over than his girlfriend. And then Seth's like, oh, you're right. My girlfriend is over. My girlfriend's so cool, and she's over, guys. And we're like, we know. Like, the problem is the women's division was treated like a joke for the last 20 years, and the men's division was treated somewhat seriously. Now we're at a point where the women's division's only been treated seriously the last 5 years, and they're more over than your top champion. It's a problem. The fact that Seth Rollins can't look at himself and reflect on that is an issue. He isn't cool. He's not booked to be cool. If I was back, like, you got to take a little ownership here, and I know that you can only change so much, but speak up, for fuck's sake. Just speak up. Just be like, God, can I at least do something to make me not the most because here's the thing, I gave him a chance. I always have videos, like I watch YouTube, I'll watch other shit while Raw is going on. It's 3 hours long. When his promo came up, I paused. I said, I want to hear what's going to happen. And Charlie or whatever, whoever it was, goes, Seth Rollins. And they points the microphone to Seth Rollins. And everybody goes, it wasn't even like a strong boo. It was like, oh God, this guy's back on TV.
But to Steve's point, like, if it's off air, you still don't treat the Fiend like that. That's fucking ridiculous.
They're still doing the red, right? They're still doing the red lights, right? Because there's somebody's gonna have it on their phone. I mean, shit. When in like 2005, I had a digital camera that could take video, and I recorded the dark match between Batista and JBL for the World Heavyweight Championship after an episode of Smackdown. I've still got it somewhere on an old computer. So what I'm saying is, it's not like you're not going to not know the finish, or somebody's not going to tweet it out, or email Meltzer, or email Alvarez, or email Ryan Satin, be like, here's what happened. They're still doing the red lighting. Oh, hold on a second. They're still doing the red lighting. They're still doing the 20 curb stomps, and then they're still doing the finish where Bray Wyatt pulls Seth out of the ring and chokes him. So it's not like it's a no contest or it's some bullshit hanky finish. If you, I will hammer this home until the day I die. If you can't think of a way out of it, don't book the match. You could just not do that at the end of the show. Yeah. Seth Rollins could curb stomp Baron Corbin into a fucking crater and then pin him, and everybody would just be happy and go home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, pick a heel. They're treating the Fiend like he's the generic, like he's Kamala. And then next week, once Seth beats Kamala, he's going to beat George the Animal Steel. And when George the Animal Steel is done, he's going to have fucking Norman the Lunatic. It's dumb. It's so dumb that they're treating this character like just a generic monster of the week, like it's Scooby-Doo. Something that doesn't bother us. What were you thinking? Oh. Adrenaline in the vein. Oh man. Yes. For those Listen,
my favorite line of that night: "Who wears a scarf?"
Chris Jericho was doing so well.
He's the greatest.
And then, so there were a lot of wins in this segment. And, so many things. All right, between Jericho and JR and everybody else, there was the who wears a scarf. I bought a ticket. Cody's going to smash the window, but MJF gives him the scarf to wrap around his hand so he doesn't cut his hand. It's like wrestling logic. Right.
Yeah.
It was then that was great because Jericho, oh my God, Jericho was on fire during that. Because he's like, what are you going to do? Come up here and beat us up all by yourself?
Like he sold his fear too. It was awesome.
Yeah. And he's like, what? You're just going to have 2 people? We got 4 and all this shit. And fucking after Dustin walks down, MJF walks down. He's like, what, 3? That's all you got? And then you hear, it's me, it's DDP. And the whole place loses their fucking minds.
Yeah.
For a 60-year-old guy who does
yoga. It's 1997 again.
It was unbelievable. So they punt. It was such a loud, and there's something about it. There was such
a guy is like a national treasure.
He really is. He was like the success story. He was the success story of WCW. No, he had no reason to. He started when he was 4 years old.
He's the anomaly. He says it all the time.
Yep. He was old.
He wasn't supposed to happen.
He had terrible gimmicks. Oh my God. He used to have the peacock boots and the cigar and the thing. And what he
come out with Max Muscle and
yeah. Oh my God. With freaking Max Muscle and the Diamond Doll. And it was rotten. The whole thing was rotten. And he turned it around. And you know what it was? It was the diamond cutter out of all the different scenarios. So he'd have you in a fireman's carry, and he'd do that, or wherever it was, he'd come out. There was
and also the commentary on how he
brought
out the diamond cutter, like Heenan.
Yes, which there was a great one on Monday. Not to skip ahead to Monday night, but there was a great RKO last night.
Oh my God, that was insane.
Well, yeah. It looked like Ricochet died.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, so they had the big brawl. The 4 guys went up, and the whole time Jericho's chirping, he's going, you don't have the guts to come up here, whatever. And as they got closer, it went from you won't do it to hey, don't do this to hey, we're gonna run away and lock the door.
And then Cody.
Oh, that was great. And MJF giving him the scarf was like that. The crowd went because they understood what was happening. As soon as he gave him the scarf, everybody's like, "Oh shit, he's gonna break the glass." He looked like a fucking superhero punching through the glass. And then the line
That's
of the
most badass Cody's ever looked.
It's such a simple thing, and it's the most badass he's ever looked. They're brawling, they're fighting outside. People have their fucking phones out, and they're taking phones. Not the Dippin' Dots. JR freaked out about the fucking Dippin' Dots. And then Dippin' Dots replied to All Elite Wrestling on Twitter, and they're like, we should make Rocky Road's Dippin' Dots.
Yes.
There are no ice cream bars. Let's make Rocky Road's Dippin' Dots. Who gives a shit, man? Go for it.
That's a $1 billion idea, man.
AEW was a good show. And obviously, listen, Wednesday nights, and I won't get into my big epistle like I'm a prophet or a Mark or John or any of those guys in the Bible. I could go on for days about what the fuck happened on Monday night with this Lana Rusev thing. Wednesday night is the night for professional wrestling. Monday night and Friday nights are the nights
both shows
entertainment. Wednesday night, you've got such talent. You've got, and I hate to keep mentioning the same guys, but Keith Lee and Dijak are 2 of the best in the fucking world. Roderick Strong is good. The Undisputed Era.
That match was insane. The Balor heel turn.
Gargano sold it well.
I did not see that coming.
Apparently, Balor's not part of the Undisputed Era. That was just part of to get where they need to go. Yeah. It would have made a bigger impact on
Right.
Yeah, it would have made a bigger impact on the main roster, but still, I mean, it is what Balor needed for sure. But it seems like we're leaning towards, with Gargano feuding with Balor now. Excuse me. It seems like it'll be Ciampa, Dream, Keith Lee, and Dijak against the Undisputed Era for War Games. That's what I'm hearing. That could be a very good fucking War Games. Holy shit. I really, as a, just an aside here, I really, even though she lost to Rhea Ripley, I like Bianca Belair. I think Bianca Belair is...
She's a star.
She's going to be such a big deal. Like, my mom watches a lot of wrestling for, middle-aged woman. More than most middle-aged women watch wrestling. I took her NXT 25, and one of the first things she said was she was really impressed with Bianca Belair. And she's got a good eye for this stuff, like, believe it or not. For my mom to sit there and just kind of pick out and go, that girl's really good. I'm like, oh, all right. Because she's kind of like your average fan, even though she watches way more and she's way more tuned in. She's still more of like, she represents kind of the wider audience. And she's like, that girl's going to be a star. And there it is. But it's a feel thing. She watched Roderick Strong against Matt Riddle, and she's like, this is one of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen in my life. I was like, yeah, these guys know how to fucking wrestle. Speaking of knowing how to fucking wrestle, the Lucha Brothers had a hell of a match to open the show. Oh my God. AEW was stacked last week. A lot of tag team wrestling, which if you like tag team wrestling, you like that.
And tomorrow we'll crown the first AEW tag team champion.
Yes. Lucha Brothers
I don't
versus
think it matters, honestly, who wins, because the fans are going to be either way.
It's so interesting to me that between SCU and the Lucha Brothers and all these, for the most part, these tag teams, they could split up and all of those guys could be a singles champion.
Oh, yeah.
Pentagon could be a champion. Phoenix could be a champion. Kazarian, Daniels, or Scorpio Sky is the next one up.
This injury to Daniels really Sky up to the, give him a chance to really.
Yeah, and he's impressive.
He's pulled it off.
He reminds me of he talks a little bit like The Rock, and I don't know if he needs to change that or just keep doing it, but it reminds me, the way he speaks reminds me a lot of The Rock. What do we think, since there was a big debate about this, and then we'll move on to, I guess, NXT and Raw. What do we think about the time limit draw between Pac and Moxley?
I mean,
yeah, I like, and that's how I feel. It's like when you look at it, you go, well, if you're watching a hockey game and it goes to a draw, you're disappointed, but at the same time, you're like, well, the next game we're gonna get them, and that's like the thing. If you're a fan of Pac, you're gonna go, oh, if he just had another 30 seconds. If you're a fan of Moxley, oh, if he just had another 30 seconds. Like, it's building anticipation to the real, there's a money main event between those guys eventually.
For me, the reason I'm okay with it is because it seems to be the only rule they're actually following. Half the time they don't fucking tag in, and the legal man, and the whole referees look like fucking idiots.
Yeah, I think they're aware of that.
That's annoying to me.
The Lucha Brothers do. See, here's the thing. A lot of it is to do with the Lucha style of wrestling, and
that was actually brilliant by Shivani to mention that.
Right, and that it crept from the Lucha Brothers to everybody else. But I think it started with the Lucha Brothers because they're so used to that in and out. If somebody, as soon as you leave the ring, your partner's entitled to come in.
Like those 6-man tags in WCW years ago.
Right. So they have to work that out. It's definitely, and it's such a minor nitpick, but it's really the one thing they need to work on is.
It just annoys me. I don't know why.
Empowering the referee. I kind of like, because I remember, it doesn't really bother me because back
in
the day, like, the WCW referees weren't the world's greatest sometimes either. And it was like, it reflects real life. Because like Joe West is the worst umpire in Major League Baseball, and I hate him. And he's currently suing a journalist for talking shit about him. Well, fuck you, Joe West. You stink. So it's kind of that thing where it's like, if you see a certain referee and you go, oh man, Bryce is out there. Bryce is going to fuck this matchup. Like it reflects sports where you don't like certain Nick Patrick. Everybody hated Nick Patrick. Oh my God. And then everybody loved Pee Wee. Pee Wee was the best referee, the shooter, because one time somebody ran in from the crowd and tried to attack guys during a match, and Pee Wee put the guy in a guillotine choke. It was fucking great.
My MVP though is Charles Robinson for running that fucking mile.
Oh, for WrestleMania 24?
Oh my God.
Oh, that was the longest
Like
ramp
a
in
goddamn
history.
marathon.
And his hair's flopping, his little hair, little bowl cut. Oh my God. So yes, NXT, worth going out of your way to watch. I haven't watched this week's NWA Power yet, but I will after this. NWA Power, very good
Their
show.
pay-per-view sold
last
out.
week. Pay-per-view sold out. They're not doing 20,000 seat arenas or anything, but there's a product there that people want to see.
You know who's there? Fucking Damian Sandow, Aaron Matthew. Well,
He's funny.
he's
Aaron Stevens, yeah.
brilliant. He's awesome. Aaron Stevens. Yeah, he's
The NWA guys are doing a fantastic job for what it's
Eli
a studio
Drake.
show.
and all these guys
Storm,
are good, really good promos. Even
Cole Cabana, Eddie Kingston, Homicide. I mean, it's a stacked roster. Caleb, my buddy Caleb Conley got a win last week. It's a good show. If you just want wrestling, as
and
goof,
that Ricky kid is really good too.
They're all everybody's good, and the Thunder Rose is going to be wrestling for him.
Yeah,
soon.
she's awesome.
The Rock and Roll Express are going to be wrestling for him. So, which the Rock and Roll Express are presenting the title belts tomorrow on AEW.
Right, that's awesome. That's big.
Yeah, so definitely check out AEW. Check out NWA Power. Ooh, fucking AEW Dark is on YouTube now too. For this week. So lots of wrestling. It's so much wrestling to check out.
Did you guys hear
Go
who's introducing the belts for UFC on Saturday?
No.
Diaz and I don't know his name.
Yeah. Go ahead and let everybody know.
The Rock.
Yeah, so they have a. Yeah,
That's awesome.
they decided they made this title the BMF, the Bad Motherfucker belt, and they decided that it was being defended in this
That's
Masvidal.
very much like Taz's FTW title.
Right. It's exactly that. It's for guys who aren't necessarily like title contenders, but they're still like they're known as like tough guys and
Badasses, yeah.
right.
Hope Diaz,
Go ahead. What was that?
I hope Diaz wins.
I would like him to. Masvidal had a big win against Ben Askren though, so I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It'll be a good fight. And then The Rock is presenting the Bad Motherfucker belt to whoever
awesome.
wins. And you see my collection, a little bit of my collection here. If they make a replica of a Bad Motherfucker title belt,
Oh yeah.
guarantee it's gonna be right here. Right here. That's gonna be cool. NXT again is a very it's so weird to me. During Raw, they have these commercials that say, no BS, we are NXT. Basically saying, hey, if you don't like the shit that we have on Monday nights, you should watch the show on Wednesday. Like, what? How could you say that about your own? That's like McDonald's going, listen, I know the McDouble stinks. Just get a Big Mac. Like, what the fuck? Who says that? You can't say your one show's bad, watch the other show. I just don't understand.
And I have to say, NXT's women's division, to me, is the best women's division they have in wrestling right now.
Could be.
Although to be fair,
I was going to say Impact.
Impact's on paper looks fucking phenomenal too.
Yeah. Well, they're it looks like they're setting it up for Tessa to win the world, not the women's world title, but the World Heavyweight Championship.
I heard she's going to be a free agent soon.
There was a rumor floating around, but I think it's supposed to be.
Where's she officially with Impact?
She's with Impact. She's with them until the summer, I guess. The contract runs out in the summer. But they just did a thing in the tapings where I believe Brian Cage drops the title to Sami Callihan, and then Tessa Blanchard wins a thing where she's going to be number one contender. So they're setting up Callihan. And Callihan versus Tessa Blanchard has been a very good match the last couple times they've run it. He's beaten her every time. So the setup, I believe, is going to be this is finally her moment. And it's going to be interesting because she's going to be the first woman to win a major televised promotions men's heavyweight championship.
Yeah.
We'll see how.
Like they did it with Sexy Star in Lucha Underground.
Right, but they did.
But that wasn't as,
Right, it wasn't as and then they and Lucha Underground was good with that because they only had one title, so they'd kind of spread it out between males and females. But the last time you really had anybody like this was the last real contender that they had as a woman to the men's world championship, as far as I remember, was China.
Yeah,
and they for whatever reason they stopped that.
I think Kong would have been a good
Kong could have done it for sure. Tessa's a little smaller than both of the women we just mentioned, but hey, I guess size doesn't wrestling, man.
Fucking awesome.
She wrestles like a motherfucker. Oh yeah,
she's got the pedigree,
Right. It would be fitting. It would be kind of nice to see her in AEW, not only because the women's division would benefit from her being there, but also, I mean, her dad's there. How cool would that be to have Tully and Tessa, and even if they had what's his name, Sean Spears in the group still, it would be kind of like a little group, the Brain Busters or whatever. I don't know. Right, it would be a nice, and they could maybe throw in another couple people, try and make it make it a real faction. It could be interesting.
I think between the two, I think she'd fit better in AEW. I feel like she'd get lost in WWE because WWE is there's so many people. Right?
They would just keep doing the like a Blanchard Flair feud in different flavors. Just the same way that they did with Charlotte with anything.
I'm not gonna lie though, I would love to see Charlotte versus Tessa.
Oh yeah, it'd be a hell of a match, but you'd see it 97 times over the course of 3 weeks, and you'd get fucking sick of it. Look at now, how many times have Becky and Charlotte wrestled each other?
Right,
we're at the point where
they've done it to death. They've done it. They've done the Orton Cena.
They really have. Oh my God, Orton Cena was the worst defender, I think. One more AEW women's wrestling note. I put this up on Twitter and it got zero traction, and I feel like it should get more recognition. Dr. Britt Baker uses a mandible claw. And I said that instead of using a sock like Mr. Sacco, she should put on one of those blue surgical gloves that the dentists use when they clean your teeth. She should put the glove on and then stick it in her mouth. Because first of all, that's the most sanitary. If you're a doctor, that's the most sanitary way to do it. But it would just be such a good visual for Dr. Britt Baker, real life dentist.
They've finally done the wrestling dentist right. Holy shit.
If she puts on a blue surgical glove and hits that mandible claw, people would fucking shit themselves. It would be such a good segment.
She'll break your teeth and then fix them for you.
Yes, they can go. They can definitely go down that road. All right, let me change the leg. We got to talk about Raw. As much as I don't want to, we got to talk about Raw.
I just don't want to talk about the end.
We can talk about everything except for that last segment.
The first hour of Raw was actually really good.
Well, so we start off with the Kabuki Warriors come out with Paige because that was a thing for a while that everybody kind of sort of forgot, but not really. So Paige came out, it's cutting a promo, etc. They kick her out of the group, basically. They give her the mist, and it's weird. It's so weird because Asuka hits the mist. Usually when somebody gets misted, they take a big bump. Paige can't bump because of her neck, so she's selling like she's blind. Kyrie has something in her hand. I don't know if it was a belt or a weapon or something, but she was like winding up like she was gonna like she was gonna hit Paige, right? Like it looked like she was ready to hit her, and it's like, oh, we can't hit her because she can't bump because she has a fucked up neck. And it's like it would have been the segment just would have been a little more impactful if she could have done something more physical. The way it ended was like the trainers came out and like helped her to the back because she couldn't see because of the mist. And it was like, okay. It did what it intended to do, but it could have had a greater impact. Wasn't a bad segment. It was just a little tweak could have made it that much better.
But it solidified them as heels.
Absolutely. It's their heels.
Finally, officially.
Kyrie has a great, first of all, these women can really go. All of them that are involved in this right now. Asuka can go. Becky can go. Kyrie can go. Kyrie and Becky had a good showing.
That's a good match.
Becky, for a person who should be wrestling the British wrestling style, the world of sport style, has adapted very well to the Japanese style. And I believe that's because when she was younger, her and Natty traveled to Japan, like year 2000-ish. So she understands how to work with the Japanese women, whereas some people who have only trained in that WWE style might not have the same knowledge. So it was just they meshed really well. They had a good match. Let's see more of that. You know, when we're talking about women's wrestling, that's what I want to see. I want to see that, and I don't want to see someone who's supposedly married. Oh, we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. Anyway, next. Rollins defeated Eric Rowan by stealing the Mankind and The Rock halftime heat,
yes,
with none of the charm or none of the fun of that other match, because that empty arena match was such a fun thing for The Rock and Mankind to do. And the finish was even better because it was edited. It wasn't live. That match was, they had camera editing, so the camera acted as the forklift. So when Mankind, and it was Mankind, it wasn't like somebody turned the forklift on for him. Mankind turned the forklift on.
He operated it himself.
He operated it and lowered it, and then you saw the camera go zoom in on The Rock, and The Rock's selling like, oh, and he pins him. And it was wonderful. This was Seth Rollins yelling at somebody to turn on the forklift to pin Rowan, and it was just...
And he just stands on it.
And it was filmed and framed in such a way that I could have just sat there with my iPhone and recorded it. There was nothing dynamic or interesting about the camera work of that behind-the-scenes match. They have the budget. They have the talent. They have the equipment. Why can't they put this shit all together and make a segment that clicks? It was just a watered-down halftime heat 1999. That's all it was. It wasn't bad. It was just there. And that's kind of the problem. Seth Rollins isn't bad. He's just there.
Just as bad as being bad, though.
Yes. Indifference is a killer. Indifference is definitely a killer. And then he comes out and he cuts his promo, and people kind of, they grumble. It wasn't a full boot because they did get a burn it down chant at one point, and people still like.
It's more like disappointment.
They clap. It's like they're clapping when he wrestles. They like when he wrestles because he's a good wrestler, which he is. But then when he talks, everybody's like, oh, all right. Well, this is the part we don't necessarily enjoy. Amanda, this is our heavyweight champion here. I got to get your take on this. What's the perspective from Canada about this Seth Rollins thing?
Oh my God, he's just friggin' awful.
She starts with, oh my God.
Like, I don't understand. How did you go from being the #1 wrestler in the world to this shit? Like, to be not only voted the #1 wrestler in the world, but being one of the most over guys ever.
Yeah.
To being now you're basically just Roman Reigns.
Right. The man that saved WrestleMania 31.
Yeah.
Right. Now, question. Does this have to do with Rollins came in and beat Brock at WrestleMania? Everybody thought that was it. He was just going to be the guy now because he beat Brock. Brock won the Money in the Bank, cashed in, took the title back, and then in the very next defense, lost it again to Seth. Was that kind of like the beginning of the end of Seth? And it was like, okay, we watched him slay the beast once. Now he's got to do it all over again 2 or 3 months later. Like, is that where people started to lose it?
No, I honestly think that it was when Becky took his balls.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. When he started being known as the man Becky Lynch's boyfriend, Seth Rollins, also the world champion. It's not a good look. And the fact that they don't understand how JR's dig is a dig at them about your girlfriend being more over than you. And he's like, and Seth didn't really take it as an insult. And it's like, bro, you should you got to take it as a little bit of an insult. He's not talking about, well, she's a woman and he's just stating fact. He's like, listen, she's more over than you. And Orange Cassidy's more over than you. And the beer guy throwing the beer to somebody in the 3rd row is more over than Seth Rollins at this point. Oh, shit.
I got beer.
Well, the beer guy, the ones, him and Austin are the best.
Oh, yes. The connection. The guy that throws the beer is the most over guy when Stone Cold's there.
Dude could be a pitcher.
We talked about it a little bit, but to build up to this crown jewel thing, Ricochet and Drew McIntyre had a hell of a little match there. And then Randy Orton came in and absolutely murdered Ricochet with one of the world's best RKOs.
Oh my God.
It was so clean. It was so clean. And this is the thing that's frustrating. You see those little flashes of like what could be. They've got a 3-hour show, and a lot of it could be that, and they choose not to do it. But it's, I mean, it's
I was like, oh, he did.
And yeah, Ricochet sold it. Randy Orton does it great. Ricochet sold it well. Everybody in the commentary sold it like he died. Everybody sold it well. It was a good segment. It puts over that match and gets the wheels turning for Crown Jewel, which is tomorrow.
I've never seen anybody sell it like that before. Holy shit.
I know. It was good. I had to watch the replay. I'm like, what did he do? That was so, because you like it, it's different. And then I watched the replay. I like it.
Was almost like a RKO brainbuster, if you know.
Yeah.
His head fucking
the way his head popped off and shot into the first row. Yeah.
I'm like, that could have gone very wrong.
For sure. All right, so we got to get this out of the way, unfortunately. But I'm going to defer to Steve here because I think Steve liked this segment, whereas I was embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. Yes, didn't you say this is great? Okay, when you said this is hilarious, I thought you were like endorsing the segment, and I was okay. Thank you. I feel so much better now.
Rusev is a sex addict.
And that was the reason she broke up with him. Amanda, okay.
Sex with someone else?
Right. So Amanda, here we go. Woman's opinion, since this heavily involves a woman in the storyline again. Yeah. First of all, is somebody who wants too much? I don't know. I really don't know. Is a guy that wants too much sex a bad thing?
Hell no.
Okay. So what she's saying is she wanted less sex, but she wanted a big black dick. I'm just not. That's what I'm trying to get at here.
I'm gonna go star in blacks now.
Yeah.
On Pornhub.
I don't know where this is going. Again,
Stupid.
Apparently it appeals to somebody because it got like some ridiculous number of views on YouTube. But
people were like,
they had to see it. So bad it's good. Yeah.
I watch Amanda's Twitter, and Amanda, you pointed out that if it was anybody other than Lashley, it might have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't.
The most boring, bland.
And then they gave a dumb reason.
Let's be honest, Lana fucking sucks.
Well, she's halfway in and out of this Russian accent. She's doing the.
Oh, that's been going on for years now.
Yeah, but I mean, it's worse. It's so much worse right now. She's in the southern Florida panhandle accent, and then all of a sudden goes Rusev, and we're like, if you're gonna pick one, at least okay. Can we just come out and say Bobby Lashley paid for the woman to go to speech therapy to get rid of her Russian accent, and then we can never address it again? Just like when Kofi, Triple H, didn't you used to be Jamaican? And then we just never address it again. Just get it off my TV. Yeah, the segment bugs me because I go through after every show, during every show and after every show. Yes.
Yeah, I know. I was so disappointed that was the way they were ending.
Jerry Lawler and Rusev, because I don't know if they knew what Lana was going to say. I think they kept it a surprise what the reason she decided to cheat on him was. When she said, "You're a sex addict." And then Jerry starts laughing, and then he looks at Rusev, and Rusev starts laughing. And I'm like, oh my God, this fucking segment is falling apart at the seams live on TV.
And the irony of Lawler being the...
Whoa, I hear an echo. Oh, man.
I was going to say the irony of what is shit?
Oh, the irony of what? Something with the Lana segment? I don't know. You think of it. But the whole thing kind of bugged me.
Lawler is the mediator, the guy who's got multiple forces.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And that
It's
was
amazing.
and that was a real life. Lita cheated on Matt Hardy to be with Edge. Like that really, maybe that's why it's not as offensive to us, because it really happened in real life. And like they had a reputation of being like sleazy people, you know what I mean? And then they just lean into it. This is like so out of left field. Okay, this is gonna sound really weird. And somebody's gonna clip this part and gonna play it over and over at my tombstone when I'm dead or something. I don't consider Bobby Lashley a sexual being. Like whoever, like when you look at that guy, you go, yeah, he likes sex. Like he's a like not that he's not a built guy. He's not in good shape. He's got he's got a good look and all that. But what the fuck? Like if you're gonna have, it just doesn't make any sense. Like I just don't. I don't know. It's just weird. There's something about I can't place.
Yeah,
I think there are too many things that I don't like, so I can't place the exact.
Lashley is like asexual.
Yeah.
He looks like handsome Squidward.
Oh my god, now I'm never gonna not see that.
Oh no.
Poor Squidward.
Lana, you want to help me clean my clarinet? Oh no.
Gives new meaning to that phrase.
Seriously, she's gonna play his clarinet like handsome Squidward. But seriously, like I don't know. He never came off as like a playboy or like somebody who was always flirting with women and this like if it was Tucker. Okay, this is taking completely, or not Tucker, Otis. If it was like Otis with Mandy,
more believable.
and Otis is stalking Mandy. I want to.
Oh yeah.
Stalking is wrong and should be creepy and disliked. And somehow I like him stalking this woman. Right, because he like it's funny and he puts like I don't know.
You know who I can see oozing the sexuality? Keith Lee.
Oh, Keith Lee would steal your girl. That's not even a question. He can sing. He's got that deep voice. Yeah, he's charming. Like he has so much more charisma than Bobby Lashley. And yeah. But it's great. I mean, he's got so much charisma. And again, I'm so afraid for the day that they say debuting next week on Raw, Keith Lee. I'm like, oh no, what kind of stupid shit are they gonna have Keith Lee do? But
bring out the girls that dance with Flash Funk.
I mean, maybe he'll get over him and Shorty G. He can carry carry Chad Gable on his shoulders to the ring, try and teach him how to pick up chicks. I don't know. But Crown Jewel is tomorrow. So if you want to watch wrestling, I know. So if you want to watch wrestling, there's tons of wrestling coming up. AEW Dark, NWA Power, both on YouTube. Tomorrow is Crown Jewel and AEW and NXT. I don't know what the time zone situation is, so maybe the Halloween the Crown Jewel thing happens technically on the 1st. I really don't know, but lots of wrestling.
No, tomorrow's the 30th, not the 31st.
Tomorrow's the 30th. Oh, I'm a day. I'm a day early. I've been thinking. I don't know why. I have a phone that says the date. I was thinking today was the 30th. Anyway. Good. So that's in 2 days. So you still got AEW and NXT tomorrow and the YouTube stuff tonight. As we get towards the top of the hour, is there anything else we need to address? I know we didn't get into the Jordan Miles thing. Steve kind of said it before the show. He's like, we don't have enough time to discuss it now. We need to be careful about it because we are a panel of 4 white people talking about this situation where sometimes maybe our opinions will not be appreciated.
Not exactly the aficionados.
And listen, there's nothing that any of us can say that will make the situation better or change it or whatever. So sometimes, what do they say? Discretion is the better part of valor.
Let's just say it's a thing.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing is like, and even as like I'm trying to decipher these tweets, it seems like he when he saw the design, he was uncomfortable with it, but rather than saying, "Hey, let's not do that," he did, because you don't want. There's a certain part of you don't want to disagree with your boss. You don't want to ruffle any feathers. I understand that. You want to, you kind of want to address it in a way that's not, hey, I'm not going to do that. You don't want to seem like you're not a team player or whatever. But what he did was propose a substitute. He's like, hey, instead of this, can we go this direction? And the response the designer sent back was, no, Triple H kind of wanted it to look like this. And they sent it over to him on a white T-shirt or on a gray T-shirt. And he kind of looked at it and was like, okay, I guess it's fine. But it's not my cup of tea, but it's fine. But then it came out on a black T-shirt and it changed the conversation. I agree. When I first looked at it, I'm like, I guess that's not. I kind of looked at it, I'm like, oh, that is a little Al Jolson, blackfacey looking, kind of minstrelly. Like I could see where that would be an issue. The real problem as this story evolves is that the original design was only up for a day. WWE took it down, changed it. They didn't sell or ship out any copies of that shirt. And now it's a month later, and he's
right. Yeah,
about
that's the thing that bothers me. It's like 30 days later,
and not that there's a statute of limitations on having your, being racially discriminated against. There's not. But what I'm saying is, I feel like the reception to what Jordan Miles said would be a little bit better if he addressed it closer to when the incident happened and not a month later. This is, and I think it's real. Right.
Yeah, at least do it behind closed doors or something.
Yeah. And
then he goes and calls on Jay Lethal on Uncle Tom.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I think that's when people started to sour on it. Was like, oh, Jay Lethal's an Uncle Tom. That's why he was on top of ROH for so long. It's like, well, first of all, he was the only guy. For some background, after he left Impact, before Impact and after Impact, Jay Lethal was extremely loyal to Ring of Honor. He's the only one that didn't go to NXT or go to AEW or sign with WWE, whatever. He stayed. He didn't go to Japan. Everybody else fucked off somewhere else. Jay Lethal was the only guy that they could put the title on for years that they knew wasn't going to fuck him over and go to another promotion and then they have to write him off TV. That's it. I don't know too much about the backstage of Ring of Honor, but my perception is he was such a loyal company guy. That's why he had the title for so long, because they knew they could depend on him. I don't think it had anything to do with race. But this is where we get into the muck here, because we are just a bunch of white guys talking about it. And maybe there was something backstage that Jordan Miles, when he was in Ring of Honor, saw that changed the story. And if that's the case, I'm willing to change my opinion on the situation, because again, we don't have all the facts, but yeah, right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. It very well could, or it could at least, excuse me, prevent him from being called up or promoted to television or anything like that. I think just generally, my opinion, obviously, if he has an issue with it, and other African American people of color, whatever you want to say, whatever the proper term is now. Again, big white guy, I don't know shit. So when other people of color look at this and go, yeah, that's of bad taste, I agree. It's of bad taste. It shouldn't be out there, like you said. My issue is if it bothered him from the beginning, he should have spoken up. And I understand that he was probably afraid to speak up because of Triple H or Road Dogg or whoever else. But he has to, you've got to empower yourself. You've got to be able to say, listen, I know they're the $1 billion company and I'm the employee, but I've got to speak up on this. If he spoke up right when it came out, or even before it came out and just said, hey, let's not do this, they would have just not done it. Especially if he said, hey, I think this shirt's a little racist. They definitely would have backed out.
And also the bottom line is I don't think they deliberately did it to be racist. That's
right. Yeah, I don't think they did. I don't think it began as it intentionally was a racist thing, but became something that, because like I said, from everything that I heard, he saw the logo and he wasn't in love with it, but they showed it to him on a white t-shirt. That does change things. Once it goes on the black, but you should also assume it's WWE. 9 out of 10 t-shirts are black from WWE. That's just what it is. Yeah. All right. Yes, this is the top of the hour. I guess we'll do our plugs here. Yeah. TagMeADate.com is absolutely free. With our roster of over 75,000 superstars and divas, you too can find your tag team match on TagMeADate.com. There's a Tag Me a Date app on the Google Play Store. Apple is pending, and social media is at Tag Me a Date, at Tag Me a Date, all one word. You squish it all together. Clocks change. If you do not observe daylight savings time next week, take a look at your clock and make sure you sync up with us. We go live 7 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday nights. And social media is at Tag Me a Date. So that's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You go to YouTube, you type in the search bar, Tag Me a Date. Again, all one word, no spaces. You get our channel. Subscribe, hit the bell. We have a restreamer, so we broadcast on YouTube and Twitch live. Afterward, the show goes on to Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. So look for Tag Me a Date on those as well. You'll find the last 5 or 6 episodes of each, audio only. Or if you want to just watch the YouTube channel, you can go back to the YouTube channel. We have the archive of all of our, or most of our old shows, especially the last couple of years. I know I have some saved on my YouTube channel that I should probably pop over to you guys, but those are, several years old. So if you want to see the latest episodes, you go to our podcast repositories or you go to our YouTube channel. And I suppose that's it. Is there any other business we need to take care of, Steve? All right. So with that being said, that is it for this week. Again, we'll be back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Eastern time. Adjust your clocks accordingly if there's daylight savings time or not in your area.
The whole shitload of new stuff to talk about.
And we're going to have Crown Jewel. We're going to have more AEW. We're going to have new tag team champions. I'm sure a lot of this, we'll have more on Lana and Bobby Lashley. We'll have a lot. We will have a lot to talk about next week. So tune in right here on YouTube for another edition of the War Report, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday evenings. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next.